Things we love doing most. Magical Kenya. The magic awaits.
Yeyote aliye na kinga hafifu mwilini yuko katika hatari ya kuambukizwa COVID-19. Hao ni kama watu ambao wanaishi na magonjwa kama vile virusi vya HIV, kansa, TB, kisukari, miongoni mwa magonjwa mengine. Lazima wazingatie matibabu ili kuboresha kinga mwilini. Lazima wahakikishe wamepata dawa ipasavyo. Tembelea kliniki yako au kituo cha afya kilicho karibu nawe kwa maelezo kamili kuhusu jinsi ya kupata dawa. Pia wasaidie jamaa na rafiki kupata dawa. Dumisha mawasiliano nao na ufuate mwongozo wa kiafya kutoka kwa kituo cha afya ili kujikinga na virusi vya korona. Pata habari kuhusu COVID-19 kupitia vyanzo vinavyoaminika. Piga 719 au bonyeza *719#. COVID-19 inazuilika. Jilinde, linda familia na jamii. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na serikali ya Kenya.
It is the 14th of June 2020. Good evening to all our viewers here in Kenya and around the world. Welcome to a comprehensive coverage of all day's events that have been taking center stage, not just here in the country, but also across the globe. And of course, we will be informing you on the latest on the coronavirus update in the country. Today, the update was happening in Nyeri County, Othaya Level 6 Hospital, where the Minister of Health went there to also assess the preparedness of Nyeri County in regard to COVID-19. Already the county has 9 confirmed cases of coronavirus, and 3 of these 9 cases are healthcare workers, and therefore in the last 24 hours, the country confirmed 139 Kenyans that tested positive for coronavirus from about 3,167 samples that were tested, and also at the same time 32 Kenyans were discharged from various health facilities after they tested negative at least twice and therefore declared COVID-19 free. 3 fatalities were also confirmed. So cumulatively, we have 3,595 cases, 94 cases of COVID-19 since the first case was reported, and those who have recovered so far, 1,253, and those who have lost to COVID-19, battle to COVID-19, 103. So far, the country has tested cumulative samples, 115,336. And therefore, even as we have a look at what's been happening, especially in regards to coronavirus here and globally, our focus of discussion tonight on family matters is an African child. Remember, the Day of an African Child is marked every 16th of June each year, and their first celebration was in 1991, and members or organizations of African Union came together to mark this day after tens of thousands of school-going children went to the streets in Soweto, South Africa in 1976 to demonstrate or protest over what they termed as poor quality of education, and they were also demanding to be taught in their own languages. Since 1976, when the protest occurred, have these rights been? They include protection of children from harmful practices such as early marriages and FGM, and also right to education. So that will be our discussion on family matters. We have 2, a pupil who is a candidate, and at the same time Form 1 student. And of course, we'll be also having the founding director, Polycom, which is an organization that deals with women and girls, especially in the slums. You also want to look out for that. Let's first have a look at the news highlights tonight. The heinous act of the Al-Shabaab militants. One police reservist killed as 2 teenage girls are defiled in Mandera.
The government is not going to prevent COVID-19. It is the individuals who are going to make sure that we do not get this disease.
The numbers keep worrying. 137 test positive for coronavirus in the last 24 hours as government pleads with Kenyans to adhere to rules. And holiday over the petrol users as a litre of the commodity goes up by nearly 6 shillings in the latest fuel price review. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Purity Museo and Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter, and tonight I'm asking you whether you think the rights of an African child have been protected, and there are so many of them. Tweet us at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. We are also live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. You can stream live. Let's now get started. And security has been beefed up in Warankala area in Mandera County after a police reservist and 2 Al-Shabaab militants were killed during a fierce exchange of fire in a foiled attack. During the incident, the militants who wanted to destroy a Safaricom mast in the area were seriously injured after being repulsed by Kenya National Police reservists deployed in the area.
On Sunday morning, an unknown number of Al-Shabaab gunmen were preparing to destroy this Safaricom mast in Warankara area in Mandera County, but their plans were foiled by Kenya National Police reservists. During a shootout that ensued, 2 of the Al-Shabaab militants were killed instantly and several others escaped after sustaining serious injuries. In retaliation, the militants abducted a police reservist whose body was later discovered a few kilometers away. A young boy was injured during the incident. Mandera Police Commander Jeremiah Kosiom said investigations are underway to establish the identity of the deceased members of the insurgent group. The incident happens hours after an unknown number of Al-Shabaab militants raided a village in Fino area and defiled 2 girls aged 14 and 15.
This has been something that has been continuously and prolonging. It is not something that has started yesterday and today. Girls are being raped, people are being abducted. Something that someone cannot tolerate for it. It is irritable. 494-131.
Area leaders and human rights activists in Mandera County are calling on the government to beef up security in the area following numerous attacks targeting innocent members of the public.
The concerned units have been reported there when things get out of hand. Like they just went there at the scene of the last night when things have happened.
The government of Kenya should put in place gender-based facilities, gender-based friendly facilities in all over the county, because this is a need where if you are in Fino, or if you are in Gider, or if you are in Kutulo, then such things happen, and then you are referred to about 500, 600 kilometers away to the county referral hospital. It is not something practical. The county government must pull up its socks.
Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
From Mandera County, the Minister of Health is urging Kenyans with non-communicable diseases like cancer, stroke, hypertension, among others, to follow medical advice and observe containment measures, saying they are at a higher risk of contracting the coronavirus. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe said statistics had indicated that those with pre-existing conditions were more vulnerable to the virus, even as the country recorded 137 more positive cases in the last 24 hours. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, who was in tour of Udhaya Level 6 Hospital in Nyeri, termed non-communicable diseases as a major hindrance in Kenya's fight against the coronavirus pandemic.
Persons living with NCDs are more at risk of becoming severely ill with coronavirus disease than those without. I'm concerned that close to 24% of our population is living with high blood pressure, while 5% have high blood glucose. It is equally unacceptable that over 47,000 new cases of cancer are diagnosed and 32,000 patients die of cancer each year.
Kagwe said the mortality rate of NCDs was rising in the country, saying they are the cause of at least half of the deaths in Nyeri County alone.
The non-communicable diseases contribute 1 in every 3 deaths and account for half of all hospital admissions in our country. Deaths due to NCDs are projected to rise to 55% by the year 2030, unless appropriate interventions for sustained attention on prevention and care are put in place. These conditions are a major public health concern with significant social and economic implications in terms of healthcare needs, lost productivity, and premature death. They hamper our nation from achieving its social, economic, and development targets.
The Cabinet Secretary warned that the country must tighten its measures to combat the virus, as figures were not showing any promising signs, with the country recording 137 cases in the last 24 hours from 3,167 samples tested.
We have 137 people who tested positive from a sample of 3,167. The overall disease burden in the country now stands at 3,594 from 115,336 number of samples tested so far.
The ministry using the occasion to clarify on protocols to be followed when interring remains of those who die from the virus.
As long as the body has been taken care of by our public health officers, the body is safe. Therefore, what we need to put in place is to be cognizant of our cultural practices. If the culture dictates that we don't bury at night, please just hold on for another 12 hours so that we're able to bury the following day.
And in protecting health workers, the government will spare no efforts in ensuring that health workers in the front line battling the coronavirus pandemic feel secure and motivated. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the ministry was working on plans to ensure that medical personnel have enough protective gear and their allowances are factored in to keep their spirit up. He was speaking when he toured the Kenyatta National Hospital annex at the Udhaya Hospital, where he also received medical supplies to help in the COVID-19 pandemic war.
The battle against the coronavirus got a big boost on Sunday after various institutions donated personal protective equipment, including sanitizers and masks. Health CS Mutahi Kagwe, during his daily coronavirus update, said the government is working with other stakeholders, including the Rockefeller Foundation and AMREF, who have set aside 100 million shillings to help in the war against the virus.
I also want to take this opportunity to thank the partners who have worked with us, the stakeholders who have continued to support our effort. The President has asked us to work together.
We have been working together. Today is just a continuation of that same MOU which we signed for 100 billion Kenya shillings to support the government in its COVID-19 response.
And today we have brought 35 beds with mattresses. We are also bringing in 3 patient monitors, which are here, 4,000 full kits of PPE, and 1,000 cartons of sanitizers, which are here also.
The CS lauded Udhaya Hospital efforts in dealing with the COVID-19 disease and non-communicable diseases such as hypertension and cancer. The hospital director, Dr. Peter Muiruri, said the institution, which is a Kenyatta National Hospital Level 6 annex, will go a long way in serving the residents of Nyeri and neighboring counties.
It's a Level 6 hospital, It has 350 beds capacity. It has both inpatient and outpatient departments. Also, we have a cancer treatment center, which we have started operationalizing. We have reserved a total of 50 beds for the COVID-19, both for male and female. And also we have reserved beds in our critical care unit for the very sick patients. We have a total of 285 healthcare work providers currently stationed in this hospital.
Nyeri County has recorded 9 positive coronavirus cases, with 3 of them being health workers in the county. The commissioning of the Kenyatta National Hospital Annex right here at Othaya Hospital comes just days after 3 health workers tested positive for the COVID-19 virus right here in Nyeri County, a concern that was raised by the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union on the safety of workers. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Thank you so much, Ben Troy Njue, for that report. Away from Nyeri County, petrol pump prices are up again after close to 6 shillings per litre after dropping substantially last month by 9 shillings. Beginning midnight, motorists in Nairobi will pay 89 shillings and 10 cents for a litre of petrol, up from 83.33 last month. Diesel, however, dropped by 3 shillings to retail at 74 shillings and 57 cents, while kerosene dropped by 17 shillings to retail at 62 shillings and 46 cents.
The new petrol prices to take effect midnight for the next 30 days is not giving any hope to motorists using petrol. After seeing prices drop substantially last month, the price of petrol has jumped by close to 6 shillings a litre. Motorists in Nairobi will now pay 89 shillings and 10 cents, up from 83 shillings and 33 cents in the last 1 month. In Mombasa, the commodity will be the cheapest, retailing at 86 shillings and 62 cents per litre. Petrol will be expensive in Mandera, where it will retail at 102 shillings and 14 cents. In Nairobi, diesel will retail at 74 shillings and 57 cents and kerosene at 62 shillings and 46 cents, while in Mandera, it will trade for 87 shillings and 61 cents, with kerosene retailing at 75 shillings and 51 cents. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority says the rise in super petrol price is attributed to increased cost of importing the products, which went up by 31.4% from $188 per cubic meter in April to $248 in May, while diesel decreased by 5.58% from $243 per cubic meter to $228 per cubic meter. Irene Mchuma, Udim, Channel 1.
Elsewhere, the government will consider stakeholders' opinion before the reopening of schools scheduled for 1st September. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says that a decision on the examination dates and the new timetable will entail opinions and views of stakeholders in order to achieve a collective decision. Professor Magoha was in Kakamega Primary School to assess the preparedness of schools ahead of the reopening later in September.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha wants education stakeholders across the country to be more proactive in the planning for the reopening of schools. Professor Magoha says for a decision to be reached on the date of examinations and the new timetable, school heads and teachers will have to share their views before coming to a consensus.
Examination dates and the new timetabling, we will come back to you. We are not going to say this is the way it's going to happen, because it has to be suitable for everybody. These are not normal times, every aspect. So even with regards to how we are going to decide for our children to come back and sit in school, if we are going to take a risk, we shall take it together. So that you don't say the government has said.
The Education Cabinet Secretary, who visited Kakamega Primary School on Sunday to inspect the school water supply capacity, among other school reopening preparedness measures, also noted that there has to be concerted efforts from both ends to ensure the safety of school-going children in containing the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic when schools open.
It is the duty of government to provide thermogans. Huh? Are we not clear about that? But what I've said is that us, together with you people, we shall apply the thermogans. Because the government is not like it was 2 years ago, so that there's money where you just apply and it comes. The question we are haggling about with now is whether or not our children who are below 60 years should be wearing masks. Every child back in school must wear a mask. So the government is thinking of producing 2 masks which are washable.
Professor Magoha also urged leaders and well-wishers to step in and assist schools within their localities to acquire essentials through donations and grants in order to complement government's efforts in reopening of schools.
Where there are no water tanks, and there are very few schools, the government shall ensure that those schools have water tanks. But you have had me encouraging the MPs to do the same. If they do the same, then it releases the money that the government has to help us to ensure that each school has sanitizers. If there's any school that doesn't have enough toilets, it gives us the opportunity to divert that money to improving the toilets.
Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
Kenya is running short of blood, and the country blood bank needs 500,000 units to meet the recommended level as per the World Health Organization's standards. The Kenya National Blood Transfusion Service Manager Joseph Mirere said the situation can be attributed to few people volunteering to donate blood and that efforts must be made to whip more Kenyans to partake in the noble gesture.
The country is grappling with a shortage of blood in the National Blood Bank, and now Kenyans are being urged to support the noble gesture. Speaking as the country joined the rest of the globe to mark the World Blood Donor Day, the Kenya National Blood Transfusion Service Manager Joseph Mirere says the situation is dire and more Kenyans must come out to help.
We are appealing because as much as COVID pandemic is here with us, Kenyans still need blood. We have mothers who are in labor, they're losing blood, they need replacement. We still have people involved in road traffic accidents. They also need blood.
We still have mothers who are delivering, we still have oncology patients. The need for blood did not simply go away when COVID-19 came. It's still there. It will continue to be there. So it's upon us to, one, find innovative ways, as we have done in the Musasa, to be able to encourage people to still come and donate even during the pandemic.
Mirere says the country as for now needs over 500,000 units of blood to meet the standards set by WHO. According to the 2019 blood statistics, Kenya blood banks need 164,000 units alone, which is just a quarter of the required amount.
Our target as per World Health Organization is to collect 1% of that blood from non-enumerated Kenyans population, and that gives us around 500,000 units. Unfortunately, because of various factors, we were able to collect about 164,000, leaving us with a very huge shortfall.
To try and meet this target, the country on Friday launched a blood donation drive targeting 500 units, but has so far managed only 150 units. Mirere has attributed the low blood collection to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected most of the donors, who are mainly school children.
Our aim was to collect about 500 units of blood, but so far what we have collected is about 150. Now we have a very big challenge of issues of collecting blood. One, because we basically depend on the school population, and as you are all aware, because of the issues going on about the COVID-19 pandemic, schools are closed, colleges are closed, and that now puts more demand on where else we turn to for blood.
Damu Sasa coordinator Aaron Ogunde urged the ministry to try technology to woo more Kenyans to donate blood.
You can go online, you can schedule your donation. So every 1 hour slot has a maximum number of people that can be handled based on the capacity to to actually serve all those donors within that 1 hour and still be in line with the social distancing directive.
Nilipata ujumbe kupitia redio, nikaamua ili nikuje niweze kutoa damu. Ningependa kuhimiza Wakenya wenzangu wajitokeze waweze kutoa damu ili kusaidia wale ambao wanahitaji damu.
Tunahitaji kusema kweli damu sana. Wale watu ambao wana damu ya utu, ambao wana roho ya upendo, wanaweza kujitolea damu, maana tuna watu wengi sana ambao wanatatesika. Hata wakati nilienda kwa hospitali niliona watu wengi sana wanahitaji damu kwa sababu damu haiko kwa hospitali hapa Kenya.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Timothy Kipnusu.
Indeed, thank you so much, Timothy, for that report. There is a need for me and you to come out and donate blood to save a life. Elsewhere, leaders from Wajir and Marsabit counties have resolved to end hostilities between Borana and the Godia clans in the region that have left at least 9 people dead in the past 1 week. The leaders, led by Wajir County Governor Ambassador Muhammad Abdi and his Marsabit counterpart Muhammad Ali, said the conflicts between various clans had robbed the two counties the much-needed development, not forgetting loss of lives.
The perennial interclan conflicts between the Borana and the Godia communities has not only left trail of death in the region, but also loss of livelihood. Top government officials and political leaders have also lost their lives and others injured in pursuit of the elusive peace in the expansive region, partially attributed to limited resources such as water and pasture. The latest endeavor by the national government ended with the Saturday's Meru police chopper crash that left regional security team injured.
For how long? How many more officers are we going to lose? For how long? You all know, you are in this country. That is where we lost, almost 7 members of parliament. For how long are we going to live that way? Where for them, conflict is war. Disagreement is solved through violence by arming local populations and so on and so forth. We are deploying and we are beginning now a very stiff effort to bring about sanity on that border.
And with the government firing a warning shot to what it says are politically instigated clashes, leaders of Wajir and Marsabit counties have vowed to end the hostilities through all means. Speaking at Badarero in Marsabit County during a peace-building meeting, Wajir County Governor Ambassador Mohammed Abdi and his Marsabit counterpart Mohammed Ali have revealed that the rift between the two communities has hindered efforts in attaining development in the two counties.
Tumeamua ya kwamba hatutatishika, hakuna kulipiza kisasi, hakuna kubaki na mali ya wengine, na tutaendelea kudumisha amani. Kwa hivyo wale wamejaribu wataaibika.
Tutaendelea kuishi na nyinyi pamoja, na sisi tutakuja every 6 months or even less. Tutakuja kuangalia situation vile itakuwa.
This even as Northeastern Regional Commissioner Nick Ndalana directed security team to arrest the individual who committed crime in the area, hampering efforts to attain sustainable peace in the area.
Kwa sababu nimeongea maneno ya mauaji na nimesema hatutaki kusikia mauaji ikirudiwa tena. Na nasikia waine wa hiyo wauaji wanajulikana. Kama wanajulikana, mimi ningeuliza sisi Marsabit na timu yako tusikie hao watu wamekuwa arrested immediately.
Hostilities between the two communities have worsened insecurity in the area, causing a number of deaths with mothers and children suffering. The two governors have now agreed to set up a committee from both counties to spearhead peace mission in the region.
Wewe uwe macho ya serikali, wewe uwe macho ya jamii, wewe uwe macho ya jirani, uwe macho ya county, ili wale baina yetu ambayo wanataka kuleta shida wapelekwe kwa serikali na serikali ya Kenya.
Nataka kuhakikishia hakuna hata mifugo moja, kama ni ngamia ama kama ni mbuzi ama ni punda, itabaki kwetu. Tutahakikisha tumerudisha zote.
The peace meeting just comes barely a week after the killings of 9 people in a conflict said to have been sparked by interclan rivalry along the common border. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Timothy Kipnusu.
On Family Matters tonight, we are focusing our discussion on the African child. And 44 years back in 1976, a group of school children took to the streets in Soweto in South Africa to protest what they believed was the poor state of education for children, and also they demanded to be taught in their own language. Has that right been protected 44 years back, not just in African countries, but also here in the country? What are some of the children's rights that have been violated? Talk to us and also tell us where you're watching us from at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. Or Pio Polycarp, you're saying you've already tightened your seatbelt and you're watching Channel 1 Weekend. Thank you so much. Francis Ngungi, you're also saying you're tuned in. And Dennis Nyambane, you are saying that their rights are at risk. That is the right of African children. And then Charles Kidya, you're saying you are watching from Buruburu, Nairobi County. Evans Ngudi, you're also watching from Diani. Amanganga Mustafa, you already watching from Kitale. Keep those views coming. We're taking our first commercial break. Do stay with us. We still have plenty more to come.
The Kenya Film Commission is glad to announce that the third edition of My Kenya, My Story mobile phone film competition received over 250 submissions. The call for submissions closed on the 3rd of June 2020. From the submissions, 20 top films will be shortlisted for public voting. You are encouraged to watch and vote for your favorite short film, which will be done via the Kenya Film Commission YouTube platform. The winner of the best short film will walk away with 200,000 Kenya shillings, while the first and the second runners-up will receive 150,000 Kenya shillings and 100,000 Kenya shillings respectively. Voting runs from 17th June 2020 through to 26th June 2020. The winner will be announced on 30th June 2020. Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya. Capture Africa. Top on Channel 1. Yote aliye na kinga hafifu mwilini yuko katika hatari ya kuambukizwa COVID-19.
Don't you move.
Don't come near these children. Don't you dare do anything to them. What's going on here? Both of you go to your room.
The last thing she saw were my hands around her throat.
I'm going to kill you!
Hold her right there.
What is it?
What was your relationship to the victim?
COVID-19 inazuilika. Jilinde, linda familia na jamii.
Revenge. Vengeance. This revenge only binds all of us together.
We must find Dharma before His Highness does. I have seen how eager His Highness is to find her. It is evident that if she's found, then she could be problematic for me and my motive as well.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with Channel 1 Weekend. The government has deployed helicopters to airlift food and non-food items to villages marooned by floods in Lamu and Tana River counties. The supplies are being airlifted from Garsen town and distributed to 4 villages which can only be accessed by air or speedboats after areas were cut off by floods.
It was a relief to more than 48,000 residents in Tana River and Lamu counties affected by floods as they queued to receive food and non-food items from the national government. With huge tracts of land submerged and roads cut off following the ravaging waters of Tana River, the government has been forced to deploy helicopters to airlift relief supplies for distribution to hundreds of displaced families. From Garsen town, the aid was loaded onto the choppers and boats to be distributed to 4 villages, Chalaluma and Moa in Lamu County, and Kulesa and Mandingo in Tana River County, which have been totally cut off.
Wale viongozi ambao wametutembelea wote tumewashukuru, na serikali kuu pia wametusaidia sana, na hii maji imetuathiri sana. Hata hatuna majumba sahi, hatuna manyumba, hatuna chochote sisi.
Lamu County Women Representative Ruwaida Mohamed Obo and Garsen MP Ali Wario, who supervised the distribution exercise, however, say KenGen is to blame for the current emergency.
Tuna matatizo, na matatizo haya ya mafuriko ya tumeletewa na KenGen. KenGen ndio wametupatia hizi shida zote sisi kutafuta donors. Na sisi wenyewe kutafuta kwa mbinu yote na serikali, matatizo yote tunayopata ni kwa sababu ya KenGen. Sasa kilio chetu watu wa Lamu, KenGen wafanye kazi yao, wafanye ile ripoti ilivyosema ya bunge, lakini pia wakifanya wa include Lamu. Wao wanajua Lamu kuna mafuriko kushinda hata pale pengine. Manake mafuriko yakitoka huko juu mto unashukia huku kwetu ndio ende baharini.
Bunge ishapitisha la kitaifa, imesemekana watu wa Lamu, watu wa Tana River na part of Garissa wakuwe compensated na KenGen. Kwa hivyo hiyo hatutarudi nyuma. Lazima KenGen wawajibike na lazima wa compensate watu wa sehemu hizi.
The leaders also called for more interventions, saying a humanitarian crisis was looming in the crowded camps. The relief aid has also been extended to Garissa County, where more than 200 families who are still sheltering in the temporary flood camps benefited from assorted non-food items donated by Kenya Red Cross and UNICEF. Garissa County Commissioner Meru Mwangi says part of the donations will go into the prevention of COVID-19.
Familia 223 wameweza kubahatika kutoka kwa msaada kutoka kwa Red Cross na UNICEF.
Kamchemenza for Channel 1 News.
To some politics now, ODM leader Raila Odinga has denied claims that he has instructed ODM senators to save Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru from impeachment. Raila has also denied holding a meeting with embattled governors following her ouster by the members of the Kirinyaga County Assembly. Senate is on Tuesday expected to decide on how to prosecute the impeachment of Waiguru.
Raila Odinga has moved to allay fears that he intends to subvert the will of the Kirinyaga County Assembly by marshalling his troops in the Senate to hand Anne Waiguru a lifeline. In a tweet Sunday, the ODM leader denied instructing ODM senators to shoot down the impeachment of Governor Anne Waiguru when the matter comes up for hearing in the Senate. A section of Kirinyaga leaders have alleged of a plot to save the embattled governor through the handshake.
And if he is just and he has fought for the democracy of this country, Raila Odinga do not agree to be used.
Waiguru was impeached by the Kirinyaga County Assembly over gross misconduct and corruption. Meanwhile, a section of loyal leaders have called on the community to unite strongly behind the Building Bridges initiative, arguing that it is the best route to meaningful development in the region.
We want to appreciate our elders na tunaomba viongozi wetu wa kisiasa tutambue wazee wetu and the role that councils of elders can play as peacemakers.
Zile factors tulikuwa nazo zimefifia. Mumias, Zoia, zote, Webuye, zote. Na hii watoto wetu watapataje kazi? Ati tunangojea. Tutangojea mpaka lini?
Maneno ya BBI, mimi kama gavana yenu nasema lazima tuingie ndani ya BBI.
The leaders spoke even as a section of youth from the region demanded their involvement in the public discourse.
But we also have a feeling that such efforts should also include young people, should also include women, and should also include religious leaders if we are going to have a concerted way forward for the community and address the challenges that we are facing.
For a long time, we've been the stepping stone for these other leaders to actually get to power. What we are doing right now is we are mobilizing, we are looking internally amongst our youth, we're trying to see what economic activities we can be able to do. We're looking for partners. We're focusing on private equity so that we can be able to push the manufacturing agenda in Western Kenya.
The group, calling itself the Western Young Professionals Caucus, urged the youth to leverage on their numbers and seek elective positions in 2022 general elections.
So if our interests are not at the table, then even us, we are not coming with our votes.
But even as political realignments continue, leaders have been urged to use the remaining 2 years to fulfill their campaign pledges before seeking fresh mandate.
I want to request the head of state, if he can declare
this noise as a burden in Kenya to stop, it will stop. Then we go back to our normalcy. It's 2 years and a half. Alafu tumeanza tabia. Where will we reach? Peana hiyo report namna hiyo.
For more than 2 months, religious gatherings and related activities have been suspended across the country as part of measures to control the spread of the novel coronavirus. At the Kakuma refugee camp, religious leaders have embraced the government's directives and joined health workers in sensitizing the immigrant community on COVID-19 preventive measures. And here is the third part of the new normal at the Kakuma refugee camp in Turkana County. Churches, mosques, and other places of worship countrywide have been out of bounds for weeks now, while the power of keeping faith and praying for divine protection, especially during difficult times, cannot be underestimated. There is no doubt the COVID-19 pandemic has tested even the most religious. It is a battle of immunity on all fronts. Apart from feeding their flock on faith-related messages, religious leaders in Kakuma refugee camp have taken it upon themselves to also guide them on COVID-19 prevention guidelines. At the heart of Kakuma refugee camp is St. Luke's Church, headed by Pastor Timothy Kirndi.
We pray for your protection that comes from you, Lord.
An immigrant from South Sudan.
Nothing, but we trust you, Lord, that you are going to protect us.
It remains closed even on Sunday. Restrictions on gatherings have forced the congregation to find new ways of spiritual nourishment. Every Sunday and at least 2 days a week, they gather at an open area in the church compound.
When the information announced about this disease that the church should be stopped, we used to advise people in their homes because the gathering is not allowed for us to bring people together. But we used to, as we leaders, we used to move house to house so that we can give them clear information about this disease.
The structure of the service is a little different.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you. We give you glory and honor for the time that you have given us, Father, to learn how we can manage ourselves in this situation of Corona.
Lessons on COVID-19 prevention follow.
I'd like just to start to show a bit about how we can keep ourselves about this situation of Corona.
Before leaving, hand washing is a must. The same applies to the Muslim community in Kakuma. Sheikh Abdullahi Jama, who is the chair of the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims in Turkana West, has to ensure the faithful are aware of the pandemic.
Tumefundisha watu jinsi ya kujizuia na mambo ya corona, especially mambo ya kusanitize mikono na pia mambo ya kuvaa masks na kuweka distance mbali na watu, yani watu kuwa distance mbali na wenzao ili ile spread ya disease isifanye nini, isipate watu.
Prayer meetings are held in open grounds where the safety protocol is observed to the letter.
Ugonjwa ni mzuri sana kwa sisi kujitahadhari naye. Ni ugonjwa ambaye kwamba ni airborne disease, ugonjwa ambaye kwamba unaweza pata mtu akikohoa na nini. Na kujikinga naye ni mzuri ufuate masharti ambayo kwamba imewekwa pia na Wizara ya Afya, kama kuwa na mask, uwe na mask, na pia uwe unaosha mkono wako kila wakati. Na pindi unajihisi kukohoa, ni mzuri utumie elbow yako than kukohoa ukitumia mkono namna hii.
Sermons are short in duration and include sensitization on how to keep coronavirus at bay.
Hii maji tumechanganya pamoja na sabuni imo ndani. Lakini sana sana lazima tuwe na sabuni ama sterilizer. So unapofungua unafungua maji ambayo kwamba iko na sabuni, so unaosha. It is only 20 seconds. Make sure that mkono yako umeingiza maji kabisa, unaosha. Umeona? Alafu wakati umemaliza usijipanguzie, don't rub, usirabu kwa mwili yako. So wacha ufanye nini? Ikauke.
The religious leaders have committed to ensure educating their flock until the global crisis ends and things get back to normal. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News, at Kakuma Refugee Camp, Turkana County.
So in most cases, children are the ones to suffer the consequences during conflict, either as victims or even the warriors. However, in Kakuma Refugee Camp, they have taken the proactive role to be at the center stage in conflict resolution, and they have actually succeeded in restoring peace between the refugees and the host community. How have they achieved that? On the fourth part of the new normal during this coronavirus pandemic at the Kakuma Refugee Camp, we will be featuring that, and that will be coming your way tomorrow at 9 p.m. Look out for that as well. Frontline medical practitioners are integral to the global response to COVID-19. In hospitals, clinics, and homes around the world, workers in the health sector are taking significant personal risk by often working without adequate equipment to protect themselves from coronavirus infection. This is how the medical caregivers can minimize exposure to the contagious disease.
A group of frontline healthcare workers that we work with, the so-called community health volunteers. So people that were identified by the community themselves based on their knowledge of these individuals in the community, and they were given to us to train them. So we trained them already on matters of community health. And when COVID-19 came to the country, again we were quick to train them on and give them information regarding COVID-19, so they are able to use that information to protect themselves against COVID-19 and also help and equip the communities, and especially the household that they are assigned. Each community volunteer is assigned between 100 to 500 households they take care of, and so it was up to them to reach out to these households and to warn them and tell them about COVID-19, how it is contracted, and how they can prevent themselves against it. And we have seen this working because, as you can see, for a long time we have not had COVID-19 in the communities. It has been in urban.
Moving on, a section of Kwale residents have opposed the planned impeachment of Governor Salim Mvurya by a section of members of the county assembly. The Mwavumbo ward residents in Kinango sub-county said the plans to remove the governor was a waste of time and ill-timed.
The enraged Mwavumbo ward residents said the impending impeachment of Governor Mvurya was nothing more than a political witch hunt led by community activist Salim Mwachidudu. The residents say the two-term governor has not committed any offense to warrant his impeachment and removal from office.
Sikia hayo maneno kuwa wanataka kumimpeach Governor Mvurya. Lakini sisi tunasema hivi, ikiwa wao watakuwa mbioni kutafuta kumimpeach governor, hao ni kidogo. Sisi wengi ambao tuko huku wananchi, na sisi nao wajue hao MCA hatutawasaza.
Elsewhere, residents of Game Village in Buratu ward of Isiolo County woke up to a shocking incident after a 26-year-old woman strangled her 3-month-old son to death under unclear circumstances.
Sijui kama alianguka chini, ilimwangusha ama nini.
Elsewhere, Nzoia Sugar Company Chairman Joshua Mangoli is calling for a total ban on the importation of sugar with a view of encouraging local production.
The Sugar Act to be brought on board quickly. It is already there. It was repealed. So it is a question of Your Excellency to tell your Minister for Agriculture and tell the Attorney General to have the document placed on table in the Parliament, discussed in one full day. The next day we have the rules. Well, those ones who are bringing sugar here in Panya roads will now stop because they know they will go in and we can arrest them anytime. And then bring our sugar board back so that the sugar board is hand-on.
And the government has raised concerns over the surge in female gender mutilation practices in the country, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic period. Public Service Youth and Gender Affairs CAS Rachel Shebesh, while speaking Laikipia, said the cases have cropped up in areas which had previously made progress in FGM eradication.
So it is the role of our ministry, it is our responsibility to make sure that we keep women and men and children safe during this period.
Pastoralists in Loima, Turkana County have in the meanwhile received maternal donation as part of war against the spread of COVID-19. Loima Deputy Commissioner Charles Mbulishe said the government is working hard to ensure the transmission of the virus is kept at bay, especially at border points.
Tumehakikisha kwamba kila border ya Uganda tumeweka ile screening point kuhakikisha kwamba mgeni ambaye anatoka Uganda anapimwa kabla hajaingia Kenya.
Finally, residents of Wanyororo B in Bahati, Nakuru County have accused a local contractor of shoddy works after a water tank collapsed less than a month after its construction. According to the resident, their 1,000 cubic liter tank collapsed Sunday morning at around 5 a.m., destroying crops on nearby farms and flooding nearby homes.
Sasa kama ni kutujengea, watujengea kitu mzuri, kitu yenye itatusaidia na itasaidia watu wetu na watoto wetu. Na tulime nayo juu huku ni kwetu na hatutoki.
Kwa hiyo plan hakuku kumewekwa pillars. Sasa watu walikuwa wanajiuliza haje inawezekanaje bila tank kujengwa bila pillars.
And before our sports news tonight, Joy Musangi, that's on our Facebook page, KBC Channel 1. You're watching live from Wingi, Kavaini. Washing hands, sanitizing, keeping social distance and wearing mask has become a routine. Even when going to sleep, you feel like kuna kitu hujafanya kuvaa mask. All right, that's so good of you, but don't wear when you're sleeping. And then Binaisha Okeo, you're saying only those without children in school are calling for the reopening. All right. Faith Memoka Sane, watching live with my parents and siblings from Chabimelek, Bomet County. Let's all stay home and also safe in this season of COVID-19. Remember to sanitize and observe social distancing. Janet Awar, watching from Kisumu. Opening of schools will only increase the infection since it won't be easy for schools to keep the social distance. Mark Harry, you're saying, watching from Makueni County, Kilungu Sub-County. And Justina Ayeya, child rights not fully achieved in Africa. From Utito Andei, watching Madate Peter. And Joshua Monguru Ishmael, you're watching from Kisii. All right, keep talking to us and tell us whether you feel the rights of African children have been protected, especially on the quality education and during this time that the world is grappling with coronavirus. In sports, Malkia strikers setter Janet Wanja and world marathon record holder Eliud Kipchoge have listed discipline as a key ingredient of the success and longevity in their respective sports. The duo were speaking during the latest webinar themed Mindset and Discipline organized by the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, NOC. Kipchoge, the 2003 world champion over 5,000 meters in and reigning Olympic marathon champion and Wanja, a high-profile athlete for nearly 2 decades, also shared the reasons for their continued good form and longevity on the scene. The webinar was the 7th in a series of 7 which began on 7th of May this year.
Juzi mimi ninakuja, ninatoka nje, ninawacha simu hapo. Nikirudi kutoka raundi napata 4 miss call ya kutoka kwa bibi. Nikimuuliza ulikuwa unapiga unasema nini? Ananiambia eti alikuwa ananipigia, aniambie nimesahau simu.
Kupata missed call, bonyeza *811 *967 #. Bonyeza *811
Kumbe bibi ananipenda.
Majina naitwa Richard Njuki, nachezea Wazalendo Masters. Pia mimi ni mchezaji wa national team. Niko nataka kusema asante kwa government kwa kutukumbuka kwa hii time. Ni ngumu sana kukaa home hivyo. Wametukumbuka kwa hiyo pesa kidogo wametupatia. Niko nataka kusema tu asante.
Episode of Elena's Ghost.
Hello, son. God bless you. Tell me something. Are you hungry? I know of a place where they can feed you, huh? Can you hear me? I wonder what's wrong with him. Once I get you.
What is it, Shapiro? Are you tired? You're getting old.
We'll just see about that girl.
Tell the DA I want to have a conversation with him, but that I want a nice offer for my freedom in return.
I'm Cyrus.
My God, that's them.
Wow!
Ooh, a porch swing. I know what I'm doing this weekend.
I can't let go of this.
Oh, grody.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Family Matters. My name is Purity Museo. The Day of an African Child is commemorated each year on the 16th of June. And that is since 1991. And this year's theme is a child-friendly justice system in Africa. So tonight on the show, we have 3 ladies. I know men have been complaining that only the rights of girls are being protected, but yeah, coincidentally, I'm having ladies, and I'll be telling you why it's ladies. So let me introduce my guest. At the far end is Jen Anyango. Is it Anyango?
Anyango.
Jen Anyango, who is the founding director at Polycom. And then next to Jen is the lovely Anne Siso, who is a standard 8 pupil.
Yes.
Yes, and then next to me is the beautiful Stacy Akiambo. I don't know whether you can remember Stacy during the ICPD conference. She is the lady who spoke, and actually there was a standing ovation after she highlighted some of the issues that girls, especially girls living in slums, are facing. And maybe if we could get that clip to just remind our viewers who we are speaking with is Stacy. Can we have a look at your clip? Have you watched it?
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
What do you think about it?
It was natural. It was from my heart.
Yes. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look at it. Let's listen to Stacy.
My highlight of this summit is the commitment of my president that other girls and I who are worried about their education can access it without no worries, and that we are protected from harmful practices like FGM and child marriage. As a matter of fact, I will be 39 years old when the next ICPD plus 50 will be held, and I will work hard to accelerate the promise. I would also like to urge the stakeholders in this room to invest in sports and safe spaces for girls like me from challenging background to be in. And I would also like to thank UNFPA for empowering girls and to continue with the good work. Thank you very much for taking your time to be here and to leave all your work just to hear our voices. Thank you very much and welcome back to Kenya.
Really, you are so passionate. Let me start with you. You are so passionate about access to education and protection of girls from harmful practices such as FGM and early marriages. Why did you sound so passionate? Are they things that you're witnessing girls go through?
Yes. Like day to day, there are things that are happening to girls. They have challenges. Sometimes there is no one to help them, but organizations are trying to come up to be able to help these girls, like empowering them and giving them support and helping them with their cases so that they can be able to stand out and speak for themselves.
And apart from protection of harmful practices, and you are talking about girls and quality education, is it something that you've seen? Do you have cases that you've seen girls, maybe your friends that have gone through the early marriages and the harmful practices that you were passionately talking about during the ICPD conference?
Yes. For example, I have my friend. She was in standard 6, and because of lack of school fees, sometimes she lacked her sanitary towels during a monthly period. So she was forced to go to her early marriages so that they could find food at home. Sometimes she was sent back from school because of lack of school fees. So getting to early marriage made her sometimes, now they could have food at home, and she could not go back to school yet because there wasn't enough money.
So those are the people that you are fighting for?
Yes.
And before I continue the conversation, you came putting on your uniform. Schools are closed. Do you miss school, or what's the gesture? Tell us the significance of wearing the uniform.
So we say that since we closed on 16th of March, we say that we have really missed our uniforms. So let us just put it on to remember the good memories that we had while we were still in school.
Oh, is it the same case for you, Anne?
Yes.
That's why you miss school, you are a candidate. What does the closure of schools as a candidate mean to you? Are you in dilemma that you might not do exams this year? Or what is going through your mind?
No, I know that I'm going to do my exams this year, September. And I'm happy to wear my uniform today because I miss school.
When was the last time you put on your uniform apart from today?
15th March.
15th March. Oh, wow. Thank you you should thank me for inviting me so that you get the opportunity to wear your uniform, right? So Stacy is so much passionate about protection of girls from harmful practices and also access to quality education. What are some of the concerns that you have when an Africa or right for children is mentioned? When you hear people talking about children's rights, protection of children's rights, what are some of the things that you feel have not been looked into yet?
Some children out there lack going to school. Like some of their parents are irresponsible. They lack fees, and some of them even lack uniform for them to go to school. So some of their teachers don't like when they go to school without uniform. So they are being just out of the school because of the fear and lack of uniform.
All right. So this day, Jen, this year's theme is child-friendly justice system in Africa. Why is the theme so imperative, especially here in Kenya?
This year's theme is very important because mostly we make decisions without involving children. And then the children are not even aware of the justice system that is there. So they don't even know what to pursue. So it's an adult business. And I think it's very important to involve the children so that they know if their rights are being violated, and they know also where to go to seek for justice when their rights are being violated. So this year's theme is very important. It's not just for the kids, but also for the adults. Yeah.
All right. And I know there are so many rights of children, and we are talking about both boys and girls, maybe apart from protection of children. I know they are there in the African Charter, protection of children. Those, why this day is being celebrated is because of the issue of access to quality education. You operate from informal settlements, if I may call them so. Maybe you can tell us what exactly happens, how this setup affects children.
Yeah, in a place like Kibera, where we are talking about more than almost 500,000 people, we have very few public schools, meaning government-sponsored schools. So we have thousands of children who are not able to access the public education. And these children, whichever way, they have to pay for education. And the education that they are getting, I know the government is trying, yes, but they're not getting as much of quality education as other children in public schools or other children in private schools. So this is a huge violation of their rights, because if we are proud as a country of the steps that we have made, yet we don't have enough educational facilities for our kids, then it means that we are not doing okay. And that is the first violation. Another thing is that we also talk about access to, is it shelter? We still have child-led households. We still have children whose parents are dead and nobody's there to take care of them. So they are there to take care of their siblings. So this, I think, is also a failure on the government's side, because we are supposed to know. You know, we issue death certificates, especially kids who, the parents who die away in the urban settlement, they cannot even be taken home without proper documents. And you find that nobody really follows up to find what is going to happen to these kids next. So at the end of the day, we have so many kids who are still struggling out there. I'm happy that as a country, we have adapted this day of the African child, but we still have a lot of violations. We have not really listened to the kids or the real issues that are affecting the kids.
Yeah. And maybe, Anne, you can tell us where you school, whether your school is in urban setup or what Jen is talking about. Tell us where you go to school.
My school, just like as Jen has said, my school, some of our girls in our school, we lack pad baths. In Polycom Development Project.
Your school is in Kibera?
Yes, it's
okay.
in Kibera. In Polycom Development Project, mentors from Polycom bring pads in our school. So we give each and every girl in our school, and there's a talking box, which I'm an ambassador of talking box. So the talking box we use to expose girls, to encourage girls to put their problems in, to write a note and put it in the
problems they might be going through and drop them
in talking box.
Okay. So Stacy, you also, where do you school? Is it in an informal setup as well?
No. Right now I'm in high school at Nembu Girls. It is past Dagoretti.
But primary school you went?
To a school at Kibera.
At Kibera.
Yes.
So you understand what exactly happens. When you compare schools in informal settlements and the others, like Jen is saying, in better setup or urban setup, what would you say are challenges that not just girls, but every person who is going to school, what's the difference? Can you tell us the difference? Is there a difference in terms of access to quality education, resources? Let's talk about that.
So in these formal settlements, you find a girl cannot concentrate in class because she feels she's not comfortable enough. Let's say she's in her monthly period, she cannot concentrate in class. She just feels that something is going on. I need to get out of class. So she's left behind in the syllabus, and this has affected girls academically.
All right, and it's been, Jen, it's been 44 years since the children in South Africa took to the streets complaining that we cannot access quality education. Why is it taking so long? Okay, let's try to rate, yeah? 44 years back and now, what has changed? Do we see improvement, especially in the education system for our children?
We have improvement, yes. Like this year we are celebrating. We talked of, is it 100% transition to high school?
Yes.
And then we also have kids who are tracked, the kids who are not going to school. So the administration on the ground are able to track and ensure that they are in school. But now taking care of them in school, do they come from an environment that allows them to really stay in class well? Or is it really free? Is our education really free? We talk about free education in Kenya. I know we have made steps, yes. We are able to follow them and make sure that they go to school. But do we retain them in school? Or do they really get a quality education? So these are some things that we really have to ask ourselves. Do they get enough? Right now we're also talking about, we've been having the free lunch that we know that inspired many kids to go to school, which is right now, I think from the conversations I've had, is that it's going to be scrapped off. We have talked about being able to feed our children, but we still have children who go to bed with in an empty stomach. We have so many families who cannot afford to put food on their tables. So, you know, where are we as a country? You know, at times we forget that we have poor people in the communities. We forget that we have, in these poor families, there are children. And so at the end of the day, it's a big challenge. We have made steps, yes, but we are not yet there. We're still very much behind.
All right, and before we talk about the coronavirus, we have the issue of humanitarian disasters. We're talking about floods, drought, even fires, conflicts. How do they affect children?
I was caught up, the lockdown found me in the village. And I'm from an area, my home area is a place that can be flooded. So I saw homes going down. And in these homes, there are families, you know, there are kids. I remember the flash flood in Kisumu, where people just woke up and, you know, they had water up their waist. Everything was destroyed. So these kids, you know, as when people are going when we are having response, then we only think of the basic things. We only think of the mattresses, we think of the mosquito net, the blankets, the dry food, and nobody thinks of the children. Even when people are talking about the psychosocial support, then nobody thinks of the children. You can imagine they also have their things they love. They have their books, they have their notes, they have, you know, they have all those nice things that kids just want to keep. So they lose them all. But people don't talk about them. In conflict situations, you know, when people start running away, all that a parent can think of is, let me save my kid's life. But what about their other lives? What about their psychosocial support? So our kids are really, I think they go through so much. And as a result, I think we're seeing young adults who are really bitter, because we don't really get to the root of the challenges that they are facing in their day-to-day lives.
All right. And you said that you're putting on your uniform because you miss school.
Yes.
You know, what have you been up to during this time since the schools were closed in March, and now you seem bored staying at home and you want to go back to school? I understand because you are a candidate, but basically, what are some of the struggles that you have to go through as a child who is living in an informal settlement, and you're now not in school, you're not keeping yourself busy? Let's talk about the challenges.
The challenges that I'm facing, like, I need to go back to school to study well with my teachers. Without my teachers, I can't study well. When I'm kept in the house to study alone, there's nothing that I'm reading, of course I can say. I need to, with my teachers, they're always strict. They always keep everyone in mind in class. So that's all.
All right, how about you, Stacy?
See, now, during this pandemic, we are at home. You can't read very well. In the neighborhood, there are people who want to enjoy themselves. They are listening to loud music. You can't read well. Well, there in the house is too congested. All of your siblings are there. Your families don't have jobs. They are in the house. Now you're in the same house. Now your younger sibling want to play. Now you can't read. You don't have a peace environment to read so that you can understand. And the other thing is that the power system. You know that in the formal settlements, there is a problem with the power. Sometimes it's not there, and when you want to read, it's not there, because at night we believe that people are sleeping, so it's quiet. But when you want to read, the electricity is not there, so you wait until morning, and the morning again the house is congested. There is no place to read.
That's your frustration. You really sound frustrated by that. Right, sorry about that. So most of the people, especially our viewers, they are talking about girl child is more protected than the boy child, following you people at Moike Says. And it's not just Jonas Kibe who is talking about this. So many people feel that girl child is more protected than the boy child. Is that true? Is that the case? And if yes, is it justifiable?
Yeah, for a long time the girls had remained behind.
Yeah.
So they faced so many challenges, and I think a lot of concentration have been on the girls, yes, but we have so many organizations that are working with the boys as well. We understand that it cannot be a good society, it cannot be a complete society without bringing boys along, but we still cannot say that they are at the same level. You know, if we look at where we are coming from, then we would give a lot of priorities to boys when it came to education, and you know, just so many things. You know, like most of household work would be for the girl child, and the boy would be allowed to be the man. So for a long time it has been like that, and I think we are working on that. So it's not just that we are pushing for the girls to be ahead of boys and then to neglect the boys. We are trying as much as possible for us to have that equal environment where everyone is enjoying. Because still, if we bring boys, if we are so high on the boys and we leave the girls back, it means that they still drag behind. So we understand, yes, and like us in most of our conversations, we bring boys along at some point because we want that equal society for everyone.
Yeah. Stacey, allow me to engage you. When you hear the Day of an African Child, we are celebrating. What comes to your mind? What do you think are some of the privileges that children should be enjoying?
So when we bring the Day of the African Child, we know that it's both the girl child and the boy child. So we bring that now the education, those are the privileges that they should have. They should have their rights to go to school. And the other thing, they should have right to like participate in different things like sports and so many things that they may engage themselves in, so that they can feel okay. So they may not be dragged behind, all of them. So we go with the ratio. Let's say, for example, 1:1. The boys have the 1 and the girls have the ratio 1:2. So we are all going in front so that we can celebrate this African child.
All right. How about you? And do you feel that are we justified in celebrating this day, or do you feel that some of the privileges that children are denied up to today?
Some of children in our country are denied from right to education, and right to education is very important to a child because it is the key to success, and this can lead children to fail in their dreams are not being their dreams are not being encouraged by some people. So some of people in our country, some of us lack education because
and encouragement.
Some of us lack encouragement, so they need to go. So I need to tell them to go to the nearby police station to report anything, so that the police can help them with something they can.
All right. And on the child-friendly justice system in Kenya, have we achieved that?
No, we are not yet there.
Yeah.
We are not yet there, just everywhere. You know, like when a child gets to a police station, and then, you know, even to report something, she's never taken seriously. Even, you know, when a kid is being violated, especially by someone very close to them, then people don't take action. I remember a case where someone came to report to me that, you know what, there's a kid who is being sexually molested by a relative, and they feel that, you know, they can't just talk about it. So they, you know, when I went and now started looking at this girl from far, then this kid was really sad and miserable. And I was like, you know, why does it take so long? So that is why I'm saying that we all need to take it up when it comes to justice for children, from the family, the neighbors, the administration, the teachers, and up to the police station. And even in our courts, you go to courts, then you find that our children are in the same courts with adults. It's not as private as, it's not that environment where a kid is hard, where a kid feels that, this is a right space for me to express myself the way I should. So we haven't achieved it yet. We still have a long way to go. I know we have done very many things right, but we still have a long way to go, especially on ownership. We still have a long way to go.
And because the Day of the African Child most of the time is raising awareness of the continuing need for improvement of education provided to the African child, there is a lot of concern when it comes to those in private schools, those in public schools. And we have one of our viewers, Olwande, agree with saying that we still have overcrowded students in overcrowded in one class in public schools as compared to the ones in private ones. It's unfair. Their rights to good education are still being denied, and also all the attention has been diverted to girl child, forgetting the boy child. I know you've addressed that issue, but equal rights, is it possible to have equal rights to access to education, whether in private schools or even in public schools?
If proper mapping is done, it is possible. If we are able to map and know the number of kids we have in every region, if we can say, like, these are the number of kids we have in Kibera, and these are the schools we have, and these are the numbers that are expected in classes, then we can achieve it. But if we still leave it like, don't stop any kid who has come, let kids come to school, and it's a public school, then you find you have more than 100 kids in one class. So the teacher ends up going ahead with the kids who are able to listen to him or her, because the numbers are too much for them. So the private schools are, I think they are better, and it depends on the pocket. Like how many of us in this country are equipped enough to take our kids to private schools.
All right.
Yeah, so it's
Stacey,
very tough.
Right now, the country is, not the country, the world is grappling with the coronavirus pandemic. There has been a lot of awareness, especially in the preventing guidelines and protection from getting the coronavirus. As children, do you feel that the awareness, has been reached out to you, especially in the language that you understand, in terms of messaging? Let's talk about protecting children from coronavirus. Do you have enough information about coronavirus?
So, as we know that people from the slums cannot be able to access this modern technology. Sometimes these modern technologies are expensive. So sometimes you find children, like, for example, my age group, are not able to get to know coronavirus well. But you see these basic things like you should wear a mask, social distancing, sanitizing your hand. These things are basics, and the children are able to see from what the passers-by are doing, and they follow them. So you get that deep down in this pandemic, people from the formal settlements are not able to know more about it. They only know that we should do this to protect ourselves, but they don't know more. They don't go under that, within, deeper. Yes, deeper.
All right. How about you, Anne? What are some of the challenges that you are facing as someone staying in informal settlements, a child who is trying to understand what this coronavirus is all about?
As for me, the way I understand coronavirus, from my age mates, some of them have phones, and some of us, we don't have, like our parents are strict. So some of them do Google the meaning, and like us, we do learn from
your friends,
my friends. So we learn from them.
So you do not, in other words, have much access to this information?
I have much, but like with this coronavirus, we have many rules, like we should wear a mask. Without masks, you get someone has been arrested without mask, even a child. So when you arrest a child, how do you expect a child to learn and in prison? Because there's no books for them to learn there during this period.
Okay, for you it's learning. Oh, wow. Okay, that's so nice of you. So Jen, do you feel that children are being protected from coronavirus in terms of being equipped with the right information, being spoken with, especially these ones, they came with their uniform on because they really miss going back to school. They don't know why they are not going back to school really. They just want to go and learn. Yeah, maybe you can talk about protecting children.
The first question is like, who is protecting them?
Mm-hmm.
Because from what I know, especially life in the informal settlements, is that mostly they take care of themselves. Parents are busy. You know, they just have to eat. So many parents are out there trying to struggle to get food on the table that they don't really have time to share much with their children. So they're supposed to be learning from others. And, you know, when do they learn from others? They're supposed to be having social distancing. They're supposed to be staying at home. But the truth is, in the slums, the kids are not really at home. They're all over and everywhere sharing with others. So I think kids are more at risk right now with this pandemic. They are more, especially kids from the slums, they are so much at risk. The other day I wanted to meet 10 girls for a conversation. And so I called 10 girls. And when we got to the office, we had almost 50 girls well relaxed, waiting. And then we were like, now what do we do with these girls? So we decided to get them to write to us, you know, why did you come? And most of them were like, you know, we are tired of being in the house. We are tired of conflicts with our parents. Just like Stacy said, the houses are so small. Everything is shared. So the kids they don't even have a space to play. They are fighting with they are ever in conflict. So our kids are not really protected. I wish we even had some open space where we would organize that social distancing, and then they're able to go and rest there. They are better placed there. We've also heard of kids who are right now being sexually molested. You know, people were taking advantage of them. Just this evening, we were having a case of this 15-year-old girl who went to trick a lady just because she felt she had a lot of interest in the young boy in the house. So it is a serious challenge. You know, the CS mentioned the other day that we're going to have more pregnancies when we open schools. In fact, he talked of only 3, but I think we should be worried. We should really, really be worried. Looking at the trends that we're seeing in the community, our kids are not protected and they're not safe.
All right, Stacy, apart from not being able to get good environment to study, what else is frustrating you? You know, you've stayed home longer than you used to. What are some of the issues that are frustrating you and you are like, I wish schools open and I go back to school?
Yes, like I said earlier, the house is too small. And the other thing is that your parents don't have jobs now. They are in the house. And now your parents don't have money to buy you food at home. So sometimes you stay hungry. Just say that, I wish I were in school. We eat at least more than 2 meals a day than staying at home. You're just there. The noise is making you not feel comfortable. And you know that you cannot read with an empty stomach. So you just feel like, now why should I read? My stomach is empty. Now I cannot read without eating anything. So I just wait. Sometimes in the formal settlements, the children are forced not to break that rule that you should stay at home. They now start looking for food outside because seriously, you can't stay without eating something.
Sure, you cannot.
Yes.
How about you? Apart from not getting good environment to study, the distraction, what else makes you feel that I wish schools just open and I go back to school?
As for me, some of our parents are always strict for us to go to our neighborhood to have meal because they think that the neighbor can poison you. So if you trust your neighbor, why can't you eat? So as for me, my parents are always at home and they don't know what to do. So they always just struggle for us to eat.
Oh, wow. The stories from the informal settlements, what children are going through. One, their parents are with them at home, and of course, parents strict, struggling to get a meal. In school, they used to get at least 2 meals a day, and now you cannot read with an empty stomach. Yeah, how is that How can we address that?
How
big of a problem is that?
It is a huge problem. It is a huge problem. You know, especially in Kibera right now, according to the status, the numbers of infected people is supposed to be so high. We are supposed to be the manual workers in most of our neighborhoods. Most people are laying people off, people from Kibera right now, because they are scared of having them working for them. So most of our kids are right now, the kids are really starving, and they don't know what to do. They're walking everywhere to try to get food. If you look at the food rations that we've been getting, then people are only thinking of adults. And how many mothers or parents are ready to really just think of their children when they're going out there to look for food? And when the food they're being given, do they really consider the number of kids per household? So kids are going through hell right now. And you know, in Kibera right now, we also have water problem. So some are forced to go and fetch water, to go and look for water. So it's a serious problem. We don't have enough electricity. We don't have water, yet we're supposed to be observing very high hygiene standards. Many people are out of their jobs. So it is just a serious mess. And kids are out of school. Parents were talking to me the other day, and they were like, you can't even budget, you can't plan. When you leave food in the house, they eat all the food. And then you don't know what to do with them, and they're your kids. So it's a tough life.
And time is not on our side, but Julius Wafula is saying parents should be the reason why kids be who they are. Maybe you can shortly address the role of parents in addressing the rights of children and protecting them.
Every parent wants the best for their kids. In the informal settlement, you don't bring up your child your style. You try your best in the house, they step out of the door, they are in another environment. So it is everybody's role. Parents can do just as much, but we should all be responsible. Parents, every parent wants the best for their children, but does the environment allow? So to me, I won't blame the parents at all. They are trying their best. I know we have ignorant parents everywhere, not just in the informal settlements. But let's also accept that a child's welfare is supposed to be the responsibility of everyone, of a community, and not just the parents.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I'll give you a minute and Stacey a minute. A parting shot. Maybe you can tell us some of the things that you feel as Anne should be addressed for children to enjoy their rights in the country.
In the country?
Yes. Or even children in informal settlements. What do you think should be addressed or looked into, even as we look at celebrating the Day of an African Child? Or do I start with Stacey? Okay, Stacey.
So I think that the government should not just concentrate on this pandemic a lot. They should also think that we as children, we are the leaders of tomorrow. So I think that they should also give more time to our mothers so that they can help us, because it is not easy. So I think that the government should not just concentrate on this pandemic.
Also concentrate on children?
Yes.
Yes. How about you? Your wish.
My wish is the government should not only sponsor the government schools, also the public schools, also the private schools need to be sponsored, because some of the schools, some of us in our country, some of these people don't have money for their children to pay school fees. The government also needs to sponsor the private schools.
Do you need 30 seconds for parting shots?
And what I want to say is that I would want to support what Anna said, that we should look at the welfare of all children as far as education is concerned. We should support all the schools, and we should make sure that we have a manageable number of kids in every class. Yeah, and we should also have food for the children in school. Let's accept that our children don't get enough, most of our children don't get enough at home.
All right. Jen, thank you so much for coming. And thank you, Stacey, thank you so much for coming. And of course, wishing you well, and hope schools will open soon so that you wear your uniforms once again. Or should I invite you again and then you come back with your uniforms? All right. Thank you so much for watching Family Matters tonight. My name is Purity Museo, and of course, hoping that these issues on children will be addressed even as we look forward to joining the rest of the world in celebrating the Day of an African Child, which is 16th of June this coming Tuesday. I'm Purity Museo. Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter this night. Good night and God bless. And up next is my colleague Erin Muchuma Odim with weather forecast. Stay tuned.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Irene Mchuma Odim. Most parts of the country have in the previous 24 hours experienced wet conditions over several places, and this is not expected to change anytime from now, just as predicted by the weather experts. In the capital, the Lake Basin region, several parts over the Lake Basin region, as well as the northwestern parts of the country, it's showers accompanied by thunderstorms. These are Central Highlands experience rains over few places. The morning will be cloudy in the capital and it will rain in Nyeri and Meru. In Lamu, Mombasa and Malindi, we're expecting wet conditions to prevail at the Lake Basin region. In Kisumu, sunny conditions will prevail, but from a few areas in Eldoret and Kakamega, spreading all the way to the northwestern parts of the country, we're expecting wet conditions. That won't be the case over the northeastern parts of the country. Sunny conditions will prevail. In the afternoon, the rain intensity will increase, especially over the Lake Basin region, Kisumu, Kakamega, Bungoma, Eldoret, and Kisii, moving all the way to the northwestern parts of the country. But in the northeastern parts of the country, moving all the way to the coastal strip, sunny conditions will prevail. Temperatures have slightly gone up. In Mandera, we're expecting maximum of 34 degrees Celsius. Nairobi will experience maximum of 23 and lows of 14 degrees Celsius. And for you in Lamu, expect maximum of 30 and lows of 25 degrees Celsius. And that is your weather here in the home country. Let's now cross the borders and see how it will be in other parts of the world. Do have a good night and a blessed day ahead.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika, and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET-approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
Top on Channel 1. Yote aliye na kinga hafifu mwilini yuko katika hatari ya kuambukizwa COVID-19.
Don't you move.
Don't come near these children. Don't you dare do anything to them.
What's going on here?
Both of you go to your room.
The last thing she saw
or my hands around her throat.
I'm going to kill you!
Hold her right there.
What is it?
What was your relationship to the victim?
COVID-19 inazuilika. Jilinde, linda familia na jamii.
Hamjambo wa Kenya wenzangu. Mimi ni Mheshimiwa Mize. Ninalotaka kuambia ni kuwasihi ya kwamba corona iko. Na ili tupigane nayo na tuishinde, ukitoka nje, ukifika kule nje, kuna hata maji yamewekwa nje na serikali. Unanawa mikono kwa maji na sabuni. Na maji yenyewe yawe ni yale ya kutiririka. Pale unaponawa, unaangalia usafi wako wa mikono, unaosha huku nje ya viganja, unasugua katikati ya vidole, pia huku kwenye kucha, manake uchafu wajifiche huku kwenye kucha. Uoshe, kisha sunza na maji yanayotiririka. Maji yakimwaika, kusema kweli tutashinda. Tuzingatie na tutii sheria. Corona tunaishinda na baadaye maisha yatarudi kama kawaida wa Kenya.
Karibu sana msikilizaji wangu. Majina yangu naitwa Francis Mayabi, mchungaji, niko katika Nairobi, maeneo ya Kibera. Nataka kushukuru kwa